Good day to all our listeners around the world and welcome to another episode of Unveil the Future Season 3. I'm your host Đức Vượng, Senior Marketing and Communication Specialist at the VinFuture Foundation, and it is my pleasure to take you into the frontiers of science with leaders who are changing how we understand our world. Today, we are honored to have Professor Ana Belén Elgoyhen, an internationally acclaimed molecular biologist whose work has transformed our understanding of hearing. She is a professor of pharmacology at the University of Buenos Aires and senior scientist and vice director of the Institute for Genetic Engineering and Molecular Biology in Argentina. Her research is focused on the genetics, physiology, and pathologies of hearing, particularly how the inner ear and auditory synapses respond to noise, how the brain's feedback systems protect hearing, and what happens in hearing loss and tinnitus. Over her career, she's received many prestigious awards, including L'Oreal UNESCO Women in Science Award, the TWAS Prize in Biology, and the Grand Prix from the Foundation for Audition. Today, she joins us to share not only what these scientific findings mean for treatments and interventions in auditory health, but also her vision for how hearing science can better protect people's quality of life. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today, Professor Elgoyhen. First of all, congratulations on your appointment as a distinguished member of the VinFuture Prize Pre-Screening Committee for the 2025 season. What inspired you to take on this role, and how does it align with your broader mission, both as a scientist dedicated to hearing genetics and as an advocate for advancing research in this field?
Oh, it has been an honor to join the VinFuture Prize Pre-Screening Committee for me because I love its mission. It's different to other prizes since it not only recognizes groundbreaking fundamental science, but also science that has a lasting benefit for humanity. And me as a researcher in the lab, we have two different areas in the lab that, of course, collaborate. One is trying to find fundamental ways in how the inner ear communicates with the brain and how we hear, but also to give some support to deaf patients and doing genetic analysis for these deaf patients to being able to give them the cause of their hearing defect. So we work both in fundamental discoveries, but also with society, trying to give some support to deaf people. So the VinFuture Prize joins these two things that I really think that are important to move science forward.
That's wonderful to hear, Professor. The way you balance fundamental discoveries with real-world impact truly reflects the mission of VinFuture Prize. Building on this, the prize also places a strong emphasis on inclusivity, recognizing innovators from underrepresented regions, diverse backgrounds, and especially highlighting women in STEM. As a leading female scientist yourself, what is your perspective on this initiative? And how do you think such inclusivity strengthens the global innovation ecosystem and accelerates solutions to pressing societal challenges?
I find that this emphasis on recognizing innovators from underrepresented regions and including underrepresented regions, members from underrepresented regions in the pre-screening committee like myself, is both essential and really inspiring, because science works upon and thrives and moves forward on diversity of perspective, diversity of different cultures, of experiences, and diversity of ideas. So in general, people, scientists like myself from underrepresented regions and diverse backgrounds, we approach problems with our unique and different insights, and mostly from a scientific environment which does not have very many resources. So sometimes we lead to solutions that might be overlooked by scientists from the central countries, like for example, like the USA. So, for example, scientists from Argentina are really valued in the US because we have, I don't know, we have so lack of resources sometimes for doing sciences in a country that we have to work on our reflexes to solve problems. So we see things usually in a different way, and the complementarity between these different ways of approaching and looking at science, I think it's very enriching.
That's a powerful perspective. As a distinguished member of the pre-screening committee, could you share what unique perspectives or criteria do you apply to identify interdisciplinary innovations, especially in the intersection of biology, medicine, and genetics that have the greatest potential to benefit society?
Yeah, I think that what's more important now, it's not only having diversity of backgrounds within the pre-screening committee, but also acknowledging that science has no borders now. There's no science like unique mathematics, unique genetics, unique physics. Science is really interdisciplinary work. It's also in biology, medicine, and genetics, and all fields now converge. So I think that we really need to put into place the interdisciplinary and highlight interdisciplinary work to move forward in discoveries that will be important and for the society as a whole. So such cross-pollination between different disciplines often produces solutions with greater potentials for broad societal benefit.
Thank you for sharing that, Professor. You have highlighted not only the importance of interdisciplinarity in science today, but also how the cross-pollination of biology, medicine, genetics, and other fields drives discoveries with the greatest potential for societal impact. With that in mind, we'd love to hear about your own research journey. Your pioneering research in the genetics of hearing has made a significant impact and is acknowledged by the international scientific community. Could you share one or two discoveries from your career that you feel best exemplify scientific rigor and the ability to improve people's quality of life?
Yeah, so in the lab, we work in hearing physiology and genetics of hearing, trying to understand how the inner ear transforms sounds into electrical signals that can then be decoded or encoded in the central nervous system. And in particular, we have discovered two genes that are expressed in the inner ear. And these genes are very important for a feedback system. The brain not only receives information from the surroundings, but it also sends information to the inner ear and modulates the way we hear. And the way these neurons that come from the brain communicate with the ear is because of this a receptor, and we discovered this receptor. And this system that we have discovered is very important to modulate the way you hear and to protect the inner ear from insults. For example, insults produced by exposures to over loud sounds, which really damage the inner ear, and it's one of the most common causes from the ambient that leads to hearing loss. So now we're looking for drugs or compounds that can modulate the system in order to prevent hearing loss due to the exposure to loud sounds. On the other side, we have a whole group of scientists in the lab working in the genetics of hearing. There are like more than 100 genes that now we know that when they are mutated or altered, lead to hearing loss. And we do genetic diagnosis for the population. We started this like 15 years ago for free for all the population in Argentina because nobody was doing genetic diagnosis of hearing loss. And now we have like more than, I would say, 5,000 families that we have diagnosed. So those are the two main streams of work that we have in the lab.
Thank you, Professor, for highlighting those discoveries that bring together rigor and translational impact, particularly for improving hearing and quality of life in Argentina. Building on that, hearing genetics research often requires close collaboration across multiple disciplines, from molecular biology to clinical medicine. Coming from Argentina, where resources for science can be limited, how have you built and sustained these interdisciplinary partnerships? And what lessons do you think other scientists, especially those working in similar contexts, can draw from your approach and your journey?
Well, this question has sort of touches different roads that my career has gone through. So coming from an underdeveloped country, it's very difficult to do science. So the only way to do good science is to collaborate. And not only in our countries, if you now look at all scientific papers now have lots of co-authors who have different expertise in in the background, because one lab cannot have all the resources and all the knowledges to produce high standard discoveries. So the only way I think to move forward is through collaborations. And over the years, we have had strong collaborators, both mainly in the US, but also in other countries. And with those collaborators in the US, we have applied for grants in the US, which have been instrumental for our lab to move forward, since Argentina is a country that does not have enough money to support our labs. And we have gone through so many different politics and governments, some that support science and others that don't. So the only way has been to collaborate with other scientists and apply for grant money from other countries. So collaboration is fundamental, especially for us in underdeveloped countries, but also in developed countries now, because I mean, science has and technology has moved forward at such a strong speed that one lab cannot manage all different technologies that are needed now to make breakthrough discoveries.
I really appreciate your emphasis on collaboration. It's a reminder that science advances through collective effort, whether in under-resourced contexts or in well-funded environments. Building on that, I'd like to turn to your own journey as a scientist in such a highly specialized field. Beyond the scientific rigor and the international recognition, what have been some of the key challenges you faced in your career, and what strategies have been most valuable in helping you overcome them?
Well, as I mentioned before, the major challenge in an underdeveloped country like our country is that we have little support for doing science and not enough monetary support to buy equipment to have the resources to do good science. So I have two things that I said I would not compromise. First is the quality, and will never compromise. First is the quality of the science. I want to do science of a first world country, even if I'm in an underdeveloped country, and I will never give up. So I think that resilience is at the root of my essence as a scientist. I never give up, even in the hardest moments. Curiosity, I'm always curious about learning new things. And the third is I'm always committed to collaborate, not to compete. Try to collaborate with the best people in the world that do things that are similar or that are under our scope our scientific scope. Because I really believe that success in science requires persistence in the face of all the challenges we have. And I have a continuous desire to learn and innovate. So I think that resilience, curiosity, and commitment to collaborate and not to compete is what moves my science forward.
Your reflections on resilience, curiosity, and the commitment to collaboration capture qualities that clearly resonate through your career. What guiding values have shaped your success, and how do you work to inspire and mentor the next generation of scientists, both in Argentina and globally?
Well, as a scientist, I actively work to inspire and mentor young scientists by creating an inclusive space that encourages the growth and their confidence. I'm always supporting young students with the example, but also working with them. I always tell them they have to pursue their own passion despite of the obstacles. This thing about resilience, if you want something, if you really love what you do, if it is your passion, no matter how many obstacles you have on your path, on your way, just go on. So I pray with my example, but I also try to tell them this on and on. So mentorship, outreach, leading by example. I think those are key to empower the next generation of scientists, especially in this nowadays in which young people are not that don't have the passion or don't have the drive of doing science as we had when we started doing science. I think that youngsters now are want a quick turnover of things, and science usually takes time, and they are impatient. So I try to teach them how science works, and that they have to be patient, they have to pursue the dream, and if they are patient, resilient, and do hard work, rigorous work, at one point they will see the reward.
Thank you, Professor. And beyond your scientific contributions, you are also regarded as a pioneering role model for women in STEAM. From your perspective, what common challenges and shared aspirations do you see among women in science across different cultural and economic contexts?
Well, in my experience as a scientist, I think that, and I have observed that women in science across diverse cultures and economic contexts, no matter what, we often face common challenges such as underrepresentation. We have implicit biases. There's the crystal ceiling that we have to break. In some countries, not all countries, have limited access to funding and leadership opportunities, especially not when you are at the lower stages of your career, but once you get up in the next steps of your career, access to, I don't know, being deans or being leaders in a lab is not as easy for women as for men. So there is still an implicit bias, crystal ceiling, this invisible crystal ceiling that we have to work to break. So and these obstacles and barriers sometimes hamper the advancement and full development and the full participation in scientific communities. I think that there have been several programs in different countries to overcome these challenges, and we are moving forward in overcoming them, but there are still some obstacles we have to avoid.
Thank you for sharing such a thoughtful perspective on the challenges women in science continue to face and the progress being made through various initiatives. As you noted, while programs are helping to break down barriers, there is still much work to do to ensure equal opportunities. This is also one of the key missions that the VinFuture Prize aims to realize. With that in mind, let us move towards the final part of our conversation today, which focuses on the future of innovation. Advances in genetics and neuroscience are rapidly transforming the diagnosis and the treatment of sensory disorders. Looking ahead, what breakthroughs in hearing research do you believe will have the most transformative societal impact?
So in hearing research, there has been one main revolutionary discovery and innovation that has helped the hearing impaired patients, which have been the cochlear implants. Cochlear implants have changed the lives of millions of people because and children. Which could not hear before, and now they can hear. The next great step forward will come from gene therapy. The first gene therapies approaches have gone into clinical trials 2 or 3 years ago already and have shown that they can help patients for which the origin of their deafness is genetic. So I think the next breakthrough for patients that have hearing problems will be gene therapy.
That is truly fascinating. And in your view, what frameworks or guiding principle should shape responsible innovation in hearing genetics and molecular medicine?
So hearing genetics in particular and molecular medicine in general are moving at a fast pace, which is very good. But ethics in science is a priority. So in genetics and in research in genetics, especially with human beings, we have to be very careful. And responsible innovation in hearing genetics in particular, but in genetics in general and molecular medicine, have to prioritize individual privacy, informed consent, equity, and data protection. That is safe. We have to safeguard sensitive genetic information, but also ensure advance. So the main goal of in ethics in genetic discoveries is to protect the patient, data protection, and this is has to be a top priority to move forward.
That is an important reminder, Professor. I understand that while advances in hearing genetics and molecular medicine are moving rapidly, safeguarding privacy, equity, and patient rights must remain at the core of responsible innovation. With this in mind, let us turn to broader perspective. Emerging economies are playing an increasingly important role in shaping global science and technology. From your point of view, how can countries like Argentina and also Vietnam strengthen their contribution to global research? And how can platforms such as the VinFuture Prize act as a catalyst for breakthrough discoveries in the life of science?
Well, I've been through Vietnam once, and I really like Vietnam. I really like the kindness and the warmth of the people. I also acknowledge the hard times that Vietnam population has gone through. So I deeply admire Vietnam as a shining example of an emerging tiger economy. And Vietnam has demonstrated a remarkable resilience. This resilience I was talking before during the interview that we need in science and to move forward in science and technology. I also want to congratulate the VinFuture Foundation, for showcasing Vietnam's progress in wanting to continue to grow and empower its populations both in science and technology. And I think that countries, underdeveloped countries like ourselves in Latin America, should embrace this spirit of resilience and the hunger of moving forward that the Vietnamese people and that VinFuture platform platform provides for us as an example.
Professor Elgoyhen, we are now coming to the end of today's podcast. Before we wrap up, is there any final message you would like to share with our audience, especially with young scientists who will be listening to this podcast?
I would say that follow your dreams. I mean, it's fun working in what you love, and it makes work much easier if you like what you're doing, you love your work. So follow your dreams and try to find a place, be in science or technology, or even if you're not in science and technology, but this world needs all this youth, all this energy from young people, and we are living complicated moments, and we need young people to which are the future of this world, to make a better world. So follow your dreams and try to collaborate, and try to stay healthy, and try to advocate for peace in this world.
Those were truly inspiring words. I also feel deeply motivated by your reflections to pursue my own dreams. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today, for your support of the VinFuture Prize as a distinguished member of the pre-screening committee, and for your sharing your journey on this podcast. We are very much looking forward to welcoming you to Vietnam this December. And to our dear listeners, this concludes today's episode of the Unveil the Future Season 3 podcast. We hope you found today's discussion both engaging and enlightening. If you enjoyed the episode, please support us by liking, subscribing, and sharing within your network. Before we go, a quick reminder, the nomination portal for the 2026 VinFuture Prize is now open and will remain so until April 17, 2026. Thank you as always for your continued support. Stay tuned as we continue our mission to discover and honor groundbreaking scientific innovations.